computer science service and software engineering laboratory. He's also the holder of the UP Alumni Engineer Centennial Professional Chair and the founder of Tech Factors Inc. and series editor of the Tech Factors courseware. Let us welcome Dr. Jaime Caro.
Hello, good afternoon. Yes. Morning, sorry. Welcome to the 19th Y4IT Youth Congress for Information Technology. This is the 19th. We started this um, in 2003. Jobs like, or were little known then, like jobs like data scientist, information security analyst, data privacy officer, virtual reality content developer, drone operators. These are full-time jobs, okay? Data visualization specialist, online tutor, online content evaluation specialist, data warehouse specialist, MOOCs course developers, that's massive online open courseware, swarm robot programmers, and other jobs. So many other jobs. And yet, many of the old jobs will remain. Study shows that many of the jobs cannot really be replaced by machines. Jobs like systems analysts, software architects, teachers, doctors, nurses, physical therapists, even computer programmers will not be completely will not be
Hello po. Greetings to our friends at the UP IT system, Tito Ibrahim, and the participants. I'd like to greet all the participants of the and I think I'm preaching to the choir. Hindi ko na masyadong kailangan i-build up yung importansya po ng IT and being competitive in the IT, BPO, ICT field dahil kayong lahat mga kabataan ay mga digital natives. You probably grew up on your devices and spend a great deal of time on your devices in the digital world. So alam nyo na po ito, but nonetheless, since I was asked to give a few remarks, allow me to mention the crucial role of Yusek Ibrahim. And we collaborated when he was still at the DICT as a USEC, and even before that, when it wasn't DICT was not yet created, and there was only the I think ICTO office, if I'm not mistaken. No? And importanteng personalidad si world, attracting investors, keeping them here, making sure their concerns are addressed, and I pay tribute to him. It's one of the authors of the law creating the DICT, and I was also the budget sponsor for I think 2 or 3 years of the DICT, about 4 or 5 years ago. So, and I was a big supporter of the biggest supporter probably in the legislature of his rural impact sourcing proposing. Ito po'y naglalagay po tayo ng infrastruktura, digital infrastructure sa malalayong lugar sa provinces, and we have makeshift call centers. Akala mo warehouse lang pala. It's like a call center or a knowledge processing center. Merong mga college graduates like in places like Lanao Norte, and we source our workforce from the graduates of Iligan, Marawi State University in Iligan, uh, mga graduates in the digital sphere. You know, yung World Bank or the World 10 future 10 future economic growth, apat doon are squarely in the digital field. No? You have artificial intelligence, data analytics, software and solutions-based engineering, cloud computing, among others. No? So these are potential careers for the young na pwedeng pasukan. And kami naman po sa gobyerno, kailangan namin supportahan ito. That's why we've been pushing for certain pieces of legislation other than budget support. We have the digital transformation bill, the digital competitiveness and digital skills bills, and the digital payments bill to create the environment in government and to magbigay ng scholarships, DTI to give incentives, and of course the ICT to develop the digital infrastructure. So, good luck po sa inyo lahat. I'm happy you're attending this youth forum. I'm happy Yusek Ibrahim is at the helm of project.
Joey Gorango is currently chairman of the Capiz ICT Council. He is now serving as a director and coach for Servio Technologies, Surpass, AIDS, Office Guru, Code Scholarship Fund, and the Mijares Gorango Cranlo Facial Foundation. Joining him is his son, and the author of Denim, a low-code development tool for creating enterprise-grade business application.
Good morning. Welcome to everybody. Greetings from a social distance. My name is Joey Garango, as they introduce me. And I'm here to, when I started career in IT, I started out as a programmer to running my own company full time and program in about 15 years. Which is why, for this session, when they invited me to do this, I suggested that rather than listening to me talk about how to be a what it's like to be a programmer, I would bring along somebody who is still a programmer or a professional developer, and that is my son, my youngest son. And he'll introduce himself later on, but his name is JC. So he'll be doing most of the narrating in this session. The way we structured this now is that I'll be doing a bit of an introduction, like I'm doing now. He'll be doing a bit of an introduction, and I've prepared 6 questions to ask him along the way. It's only 20 minutes, so we can't spend too much time on any of the questions. But the good thing is, JC will be joining the panel later on. I think at 11 o'clock today, he'll be joining the panel discussion. And if you have any questions for him, you can certainly ask then. Okay? So that's it. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce the main speaker, the real narrator for the session, which is my son, professional developer, JC Garango. Come on, come on, come on. There you go. There's
Hello.
So,
Hi.
Tell him a little bit about yourself, JC.
Hi, I'm JC. I've been working as a software developer for the last 9 years. I grew up here in the Philippines, and when I was 15, I graduated high school, and my dad basically gave me a choice. He said, "Do you want to start working, or do you want to go to college?" And he knew I was into computers. Growing up, I'd always mess with my IT teacher in school and screw up the computers one way or another. So I guess he just wanted to test me. I took an internship, and to everyone's surprise, I passed just fine, and I got regularized at that company. I worked in that job for a few years before I decided I should try and branch out and freelance on my own and on the side just to make a little extra money. And that side gig ended up making me more money than my job. So I decided to just freelance, just do that, for money. And that's where I'm at now. So now I write software independently and I work like directly with clients.
Okay, thanks, JC. I'm glad that you're able to introduce yourself to our audience today. So, as I said, I prepared 6 questions, which are probably the most commonly asked questions for people who are looking to get into IT, to get into programming. So, let me start with the first question and then I'll go from there. Okay, so first question: what's your typical work day like as a professional developer?
Well, a typical day for me probably has me waking up at like 12. I could wake up later or earlier like today if I wanted to, but I feel like I'm not really a morning person, and if I wake up afternoon, I don't feel so good. Anyway, I'd get up and then I would just kind of chill for a bit, try to defrost. Um, I'll drink some coffee. Like every night, I make some cold brew coffee to drink when I wake up, and I don't know, maybe play with my cats. And after a little bit of reading or watching videos, I'll do some programming for 3 or 4 hours, something like that. And and then after that, I might take a break. I mean, usually my workday also consists of other things. Like I do have to sometimes meet with people or like talk to clients, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'll work for 3 or 4 hours. I'll take a little break to maybe play some video games or like work on some of my hobbies or play with my cats. And then after an hour or so, I'll go back to work for a few more hours, and then I'll call it a day and spend the rest of the evening playing with my friends or hanging out with my fiance. Of course, sometimes I do end up taking a really long break, and I have to like spend the rest of the evening working to get something done. But it's really up to me how I want to manage my time, as long as I'm around to chat and people aren't upset if things aren't getting done.
So it seems like you have a fairly varied workday, which usually starts at a little afternoon, and you could
Mm-hmm.
probably go quite late in the evening, and sometimes maybe early in the morning, which is I think typical of
Yeah,
a lot of programmers. They
yeah,
do their best work at night, but it seems like you have a very varied day. Although the most the biggest chunk of time is spent doing programming. And so that's what I want to go with the next question on this thing called programming. So, what exactly is programming work? I mean, when you say I do some programming, what is that exactly?
well, so a lot of the people here, probably think that programming is coding, like actually writing code. Which, yeah, I mean, you do code, you do have to code to program, of course. But that's a lot like saying playing guitar is just playing the right notes in the right order, or saying that speaking is saying the right words in the right order. You know, it's a lot more than that. What programming is to me is codifying the real world, which is like messy and unpredictable, into a system that's easy to understand for people and easy to interact with. The best software in the world is totally transparent. Like you shouldn't even know that it's there, that there's some piece of technology doing something for you. So the best software developers in the world have to have this really deep understanding of the needs of the people that they're writing the software for. And they also need to have the problem solving skills to solve those problems using, well, software systems. And so it's really just like solving word problems all day, except they're like actually real scenarios, if that makes sense.
So it's about problem solving more than anything else, it seems.
Yeah.
You see, and when you talk about problem solving, does that mean that you have to be a whiz at mathematics?
Not necessarily. You you can also just be kind of good at thinking through problems in general, just like talking through them, and you yourself could still be a programmer. It's not all about math. There's some algebra.
It's more about logic, problem
Yeah.
solving logic than math, right? Because some people think that you have to be a whiz at calculus or something like that to be a good programmer. It sounds like no, you don't have to be.
You do for some industries. If you're mapping statistics or something, definitely you'd want to have some kind of background in mathematics. But you know, like a lot of the systems that I write are like HR or like trying to sell services, e-commerce. So like I don't you generally don't need to know a lot of math for
Okay. Let's move on to our third question. The third question is, so anybody here who is looking to get into IT, they want to get into the IT industry. Does that mean that if you want to get into IT, you have to be a programmer? Does someone have to be a programmer to get into the IT industry?
that. Well, I would say no matter what industry you're in, I think you can really benefit from at least learning to code. Like I think code is becoming a very fundamental skill, and especially since we're starting to rely more and more on computers to do stuff for us, it'd be good to know what that's doing. Um, Also, like learning to solve problems in a linear fashion, like you would with writing software, is very useful in a multitude of industries. Like I think anytime somebody intuitive with working with using the stuff that he has to make things work, I feel like that term resourceful says that somebody thinks like a programmer, even though they're not necessarily a programmer. Uh, but other than programmers, I mean, there's a lot going on in IT, and there's many jobs that you can do that doesn't actually involve developing the software. For example, QA testing is necessary and important and often overlooked. Like I, as a software developer, can write some very fancy automated tests and make sure every little corner of the system has like a test that covers it. But nothing can really compare to a human being using your system and getting incredibly frustrated at some of the decisions you've made. Like you can write a test to make sure that a button does what you think it should do, but you can't write a test to make sure that you think it should do the right thing. Like some decisions you have to make, and sometimes you're going to get it wrong. And other than QA, there's also people who manage the IT infrastructure. A lot of companies are moving to the cloud now, with AWS and Google and Azure. But somebody is still back there at Amazon or Google making sure everything is working, making sure all the hardware is connected. I read that Google has a hard drive failure every hour or so. Somebody has to replace those and cost it and manage the logistics of that and give everybody laptops. There's also many situations where cloud isn't practical, like at a bank or at any kind of government system. So for those scenarios, you need somebody who knows how to put stuff together and make things work. And even if your company uses AWS or Google Cloud or Azure, somebody still has to manage all of that infrastructure. It's not like you just say, "Here's my software, make it work." It's a job as well, and that's called DevOps. So there's a lot of stuff in IT other than programming, and even other than those, like somebody just has to like talk to clients. Somebody needs to be speaking to them, and you get paid a lot more if you can do that.
So it sounds like, JC, that the answer is no, you don't have to be a programmer to get into IT, that there are many other uh, job roles and other career opportunities within the IT industry that does not require you to do programming work, that you don't have to be a programmer. But what I caught at the beginning of what you said, though, is that it does help, not just in IT, but in any profession, to be a good problem solver, which is essentially what a programmer does. So I
Yeah,
guess another way to put it is that you don't have to be a programmer to get into IT, but if you want to get into IT and excel at it, having a programmer's mindset, having a programmer's mindset would be very helpful.
yeah, absolutely. And also in other industries, just being that guy who solves problems is very useful.
Okay, let's move on to our next question. And you've been doing this now, like you said, for 9 years. I've been in the IT industry for over 35 years. But it would be interesting to know, since you've been in it this, the last 9 years, when I'm no longer the programmer, but I do other stuff now. Um, in the last 9 years, and the time that you've been a professional programmer, what would you say are going to be have been? What would you say have been the major challenges, difficulties that you've had to face that you think people should know about before they get into this line of work?
I think the most challenging part is just trying to